Hey, what's up, everybody? You are listening to another episode of the Netchicks. We are Moll Liv, and we are coming at you with the latest and the greatest going on in TV and movies. I've never said this before, but I kind of like it. So maybe I'll do that forever because Olivia just said she hates it, and I hate how Olivia ends the show by singing the word bye every time. So latest and greatest might be my new thing.
Yeah. It's been like a weird week, right? I feel like I always say that because it's always a weird week for me. But yeah. I mean,
especially crazy life, Olivia.
Yeah, I know. Just so crazy. Like
so crazy.
So much going on. Like my life is just whatever. I hate to do this type of news during our regular episode, but I have to tell you. So, they announced a Riverdale spinoff.
They did?
Yes, and it's going to be based around Katie Keene. Now, Katie Keene.
Who the hell is Katie?
She's part of the Riverdale comics, part of the Archie comics.
Oh.
Her character is basically what Katy Perry based her whole teenage dream, like, era outfits on. Like, everything that she did was basically based off of this comic.
All right.
How crazy. She's a fashion designer. But I have to tell you that that's not even, like, the worst part about this. So they announced it, I think, like a couple weeks ago. I just forgot to mention it to you. But
that's I saw because I have heard nothing about this.
Yeah. And so I follow the Hollywood Reporter, so I get all these updates. And they announced yesterday that Ashleigh Murray is signed on for the pilot.
Like Josie?
So, yes. So if it's picked up, she will not be in Riverdale. Yes. Because...
No!
Yes, because Katie Keene is like 20-something. They're going to be in New York City. So it's going to be Josie, like, in her 20-somethings in the series.
Oh, so it's, like, in the future?
Yes. And they said there is no crossovers from the episodes. And if there will be, because they're probably end up being crossovers, they'll just be older characters. They'll be them, like...
I'm fine with that.
Yes.
That's what I would like.
Josie is signed on as one of the major characters. She's not going to be a secondary character like she is in Riverdale. She's going to be a main character. And if they pick up on the pilot, she will not be returning to Riverdale.
Damn.
I know. That's why I had to tell you, because I was so upset. And we just talked about how we were so excited for her story and Archie, and now this happened.
I mean, we will definitely talk about this more on Friday, but
I had to tell you now.
First of all, if a spinoff is a show that a main character or like a character from the original show is the main character of.
Yes.
I get that, like, oh, she's going to be a main character on this. But if it's not about Josie, then it's not a spinoff. And that's bullshit. But whatever.
But it's also like the Sabrina, the Teenage Witch.
Yeah. But that to me is not really a spinoff. It's like a show in the same universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. But Josie and like the Pussycats is like the big thing with Archie comics, right? Isn't that like the thing that like goes between like literally everything?
Yeah.
Because, like, I had heard of Josie and the Pussycats before I really knew anything. I feel like they used to have a TV show, didn't they? Like a cartoon?
Exactly. And I was just thinking that...
Scooby-Doo?
Yes. Or maybe it was like a different... might be like someone based off of that. But...
I think they're on Scooby-Doo.
No, I think so too, but I don't think it was like the actual band. And I was just thinking...
Scooby-Doo used to do a show where they would have, like, celebrity guests.
Yeah, and I think there was like someone like Josie.
Right.
Yeah, like with Pussycats. I was saying this when I watched like Never Been Kissed and they made all these references. Josie is the main character. She was named after Josie and the Pussycats. And like the thing is, like, that's a big sense. Yes, and it's a pop culture reference, like Josie and the Pussycats. Like people would understand what you're talking about. Because I felt like I knew that before when they announced it. I was like, Josie and the Pussycats, like I've known that. But so
okay, sorry.
So yeah, it's fine. I just had to tell you that because
I'm glad you did tell me.
Yeah. And I'm glad she's going to get her, if they pull this off, because they might not like the pilot at all.
Pull it off. Wow. I mean, way to just, like, throw news at me immediately. Like, we haven't even talked about our weeks yet.
I know, we haven't. But this is why I told you it was, like, a weird week, because I had this news while I was, like, looking up
Your whole week has just been you sitting on this news?
Like... No, it happened yesterday, because I was, like, talking to my dad about 21 Savage. And I was trying to look up more articles about it. And this is the first article to pop up in the Hollywood Reporter. And I said, what? So that's why. And it just threw me off. Like, my dad and I were were talking about how he was born in East London and this whole situation with ICE. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, Ashleigh Murray is going to this Katie Keene show? And just
what's it going to be called?
I don't know, but I just know it's going to be like Katie Keene.
Interesting. All right. Well, I guess we'll talk more about that on Friday.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. When I find out more news.
Do you have like a weird connection, or are my headphones just weird? Like I can hear you, but like it's weird.
Can you hear me now? Maybe it's just because I'm not speaking closely.
Hold on. Say something.
Molly.
All right, that's better.
Okay.
I think it's probably my headphones. All right, whatever. So other stuff that happened this week, obviously the Super Bowl, which sucked a big one.
It sucked. Major ass. I was so confused because it just didn't feel like the Super Bowl.
I knew it was going to suck. That was the thing, though. That's why I obviously am not like a diehard Saints fans or anything like that.
Yeah,
but I was pissed after the Saints-Rams game because from the beginning, I was like, I really wanted the Bears to go to the Super Bowl, but like, obviously that wasn't happening early on in the playoffs. So I was just kind of like, whatever. And my thing is, a year ago, if you asked me, I would have told you that I literally hate the Patriots with every fiber of my being. I don't really feel that way anymore. I think mostly because I don't go to school with people from New England anymore. Like, I'm never with Patriots fans.
Do you follow...
My family was like not half. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was like in the middle of the thought.
You know,
my family Sunday night was just like, literally would have rather slit their wrists than watch the Patriots win again. I was like, I don't understand that, but whatever. My whole thing during the playoffs was I was just like, the Rams can't beat the Patriots. Like, I know that for a fact. That's why I wanted the Saints to go to the Super Bowl. Same. I would have rooted for the Saints with everything in me because I think that would have been an exciting game. And I generally like the Saints. That's like my favorite team from that division. But
the NFC South.
Yeah. But I just it sucked, and the halftime show was not good, and the SpongeBob tribute was non-existent. I know it was like it was there, but like that's not what people wanted. Mm-hmm. They wanted sweet victory. So I don't know. I just overall was just like, this sucks. I was so upset. And everyone's saying like the commercial sucked. The commercial stuff sucked, I think, my entire life. Like, I don't think I've ever really watched a commercial and been like, oh my God, this was really, really funny. Highlights.
There have been a few. There have been a few.
What?
Like, I don't remember, but like there have been some that were like pretty good. Like, I think the best commercial out of this whole thing was the NFL 100.
1,000%.
Yeah, because it was like they did that in 3 days right before championship weekend.
No, that was really good. And I didn't mind. I audibly gasped at the Bud Light commercial when they started like shit talking the other beers by name. I literally looked at my mom. I was like, can they do this?
Yeah,
she was like, well, they just did.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, what's going on? This is crazy. That threw me off, but I did like that.
I agree with the whole game as well too, because so in November I predicted it was going to be a Saints and Patriots Super Bowl. I was like talking to someone. I was like, you know what? It's going to be a Saints and Patriots Super Bowl. So when I saw them in the NFC championship, I was like, yes. A lot of people are pissed off at the Rams just to begin with, because I think the whole like them moving from LA to St. Louis back to LA, that was like pissed a lot of people off. And I get that. That makes sense. But there's like, that's not like the team's fault. That's really just the
I don't really care about that.
Exactly. But people were mad, rightfully so, about the whole the championship game, which 100% makes sense because that was a shitty call and everything. I'm gonna be in New Orleans next week, so I'll let you guys know if it's still as bad as it is now, because they had parades. They were buying the Roger Goodell clown shirts because they now.
I think I might just buy one because I hate Roger Goodell.
Same.
Like, it has nothing to do. Roger Goodell really hasn't done anything to the Giants organization ever. The Giants just suck because they suck.
Exactly.
But like, Roger Goodell is a piece of shit.
Exactly. And it was funny. I was talking to my brother about Roger Goodell yesterday. Condoleezza Rice they really wanted her to be the NFL commissioner, and she would have done a great job compared to Roger Goodell.
What connection does Condoleezza Rice legitimately have to football?
I don't know.
Understand.
But that's the thing, though. Like, thinking about that, Condoleezza Rice would have probably done a better job.
She was going to be possibly a coach during this regular season, and I was so confused as to why that was even mentioned.
I don't know, but like, she has some affiliation with football, I guess. Let me look it up. But yeah, so I just had a lot of issues with this game. I really didn't care that the Patriots won again because
I didn't either.
Yeah,
if they were playing the Giants or the Bears, I would have cared.
That's what I'm saying.
Or the Saints. I would have cared if it was the Saints. But
do you follow License Plate Guy on Twitter?
No.
Okay, so he's this guy. He's a Giants fan, and he goes to literally every single game, and he's always in the front row, and he has all these license plates. So if you ever find him, he's very good friends with Landon Collins. Like, they do his whole softball tournament in June with him. Like, he does a lot for the Giants and the organization. So I follow him, and he talks about it. He goes, I don't hate the Patriots at all. I only hate them when we play them. Like, there's no reason to hate him. Like, Tom Brady's a good quarterback. He's the GOAT. So there's no reason for you to hate him unless your team is playing him. Makes sense though if you're like a 100%. Jets fan or someone like that. It's like different too, because like last year was the first year I actually rooted for the Patriots because I didn't want the
last year was hard because I was still in the mindset of like I hate the Patriots because I was surrounded by people from Massachusetts who didn't know anything about football. That really was what was annoying. And I was just like, okay, like you don't like they were just saying things and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, if you could give me a legitimate argument, like if you could like really rub something in my face that makes sense, I'll give it to you, whatever.
Exactly.
But they couldn't.
Most bandwagoners. Right. Most bandwagoners don't know anything. So I go to obviously a very big school. I graduated from a very big school, I should say, because I'm a graduate. I felt like every year, like you could tell who the bandwagoners are because starting my freshman year, in October, that was when the Mets started doing well. And then I found out people were from Long Island and from New York because they all of a sudden started wearing Mets hats because they were great. And then once they lost the World Series, no hats. Like no one was wearing any Mets stuff. I was like, all right. Then the next year the Cubs won. I found out everyone was fucking from the Chicago suburbs because all these bandwagoners pop out when all these teams start playing good. And then Patriots fans, and then I found out a lot of people are Atlanta fans because they were in the Super Bowl. It's so weird, like, and you'll see them like, how is this a possible?
I don't have a problem with like a casual fan.
Oh no, like,
and I think sometimes bandwagoners get confused with casual fans.
Oh yeah,
but like, my thing is just like, then be a casual fan. Don't like try and tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about because I do.
Because I do. Yeah.
But obviously,
story of our life.
Yeah. Whatever. Let's move on because this is not what this podcast is actually about.
Oh yeah, obviously. But yeah, weird week. Patriots won again. Whatever. Now we're gonna go back to some nice Netflix stuff.
Yeah.
What our podcast was our roots. So Molly and I both watched the Ted Bundy Tapes, Confession of a Killer. And today, Netflix announced that they just bought the rights to the new movie, Extremely Wicked, whatever the movie that we're going to talk about.
It's a long title. Yes. The Zac Efron movie.
Yes, Zac Efron movie that he's going to play Ted Bundy.
Yeah. I
just found out that the same guy who created the tapes also is ahead of the movie. So Joe Erlinger, yes. His new Netflix drama, like his new Netflix doc, fails to get to the center of the serial killer. So that's what I was reading this article. I have multiple articles written up because I just decided to watch it today because I knew I had time today. So I was like, let me just go through it. It was only 4 full hours of this, and
I thought it was very heated. So I was like watching it at work. I was like listening to it at work. I wasn't
I wasn't listening. I obviously have thoughts and everything, and after all the document series and I rewatched the trailer, I was listening to more articles and like really more researching on it because it wasn't like surface level. Like every time the creator, I guess this is more factual than the movie's going to be. So,
that makes sense.
Obviously, because it's a docuseries, and the movie is like just, I don't know, whatever.
Well, it's meant to like entertain in a commercial way, not in like a hard-hitting way.
I was shocked because everyone decided that they had no idea who Ted Bundy was, and all of a sudden this is this huge media craze because the Ted Bundy these tapes have like done really well for Netflix. Like recently Netflix has been talking about how many people are watching their shows, and usually that never happens. It's very rare. So when they do talk about how many people are watching the show, that means it's doing pretty well. Like, so I didn't realize not that many people knew who Ted Bundy was, which I thought was
fake. People know who Ted Bundy is. They just didn't know about him. If that makes sense. Like everyone knows Ted Bundy is a serial killer.
Yes. I just thought it was like interesting because if people were like, oh, like romanticizing Ted Bundy and all that, and like that whole situation, my whole thing with this whole thing is that he really wasn't as charismatic as everyone says he is.
Okay, here's my thing.
Yeah.
Is I know what you're talking about. Like the whole concept of everyone on Twitter being like, you're romanticizing it. This isn't real. My thing is there's legitimate news footage of women being like, are you sure you have the right guy? He doesn't seem like the guy. So, like, I get that people are like, he's not that good looking in real life. Like, he's not as charismatic. He's not as personable as, like, you're portraying him in these trailers. That's fine for you to think that, like, as an individual. But the whole point is that at the time, people legitimately didn't think he did it because of these personality traits.
Yeah. I get that. And I think, but the thing is, though, I also think the media, like, publicized that. They, like, really romanticized him, like, oh, being this very charming thing.
At the time, sure.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's how it was covered at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's not something that's being made up now.
Yeah, I think they basically, like, really, like, publicized it, though, because I didn't realize, like, he was not charming to these victims. Like, he did not, like, charm, like, lure them in.
Yeah, I definitely thought he, like, lured them into his car, and then, like, that's not what happened.
No, he pretended to be police officers. He pretended that he broke his arm so they would come to him. Or he would just come into their houses at night while they're sleeping.
Sorority house.
Yeah, and kill him. So he really wasn't, that's what I'm saying, like, he was two completely different things. He wasn't this charming guy that I thought he was, like, extremely charming the pants off these girls, but he wasn't.
Well,
he was like,
the thing is, too, is the first couple murders in Washington, you don't really know what happened.
You don't.
You just know that these girls were walking home from, like, parties and stuff, and then they go missing, and then the bodies all find their way on the mountain. Exactly. So in theory, I think that, like, I don't think this happened, but in theory, it could have been like, oh, they were, like, he was also in the alley, and they got to talking, and he walked home with them, and blah, blah, blah. That could have happened. It also could have happened that, like, he flew in on an eagle and abducted them. Like, anything could have happened. We don't know what happened. But when you have this whole concept of him being, like, good looking, and I know, like, all the stuff on Twitter, some of the times when they show footage or pictures of him, I'm like, he's not good looking. And other times I'm like, oh, I could see it. Yeah. So, which is how most men that we categorize as like generally attractive fall into that category. I think.
Okay, so this is what I, like, learned. I was a psychology minor, so, like, I was like, when I was watching this and when I found out he was a psychology major in school, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. He knew that he had some type of pull. Okay, most average looking guys are seen as attractive.
Yes.
Ted Bundy is an average looking guy. He also could play it off, like, the whole, like, chameleon effect. There were, like, multiple men who looked just like him. Because just, like, a regular average white male in the 70s. That's what everyone thought. He was, like, this handsome guy. I think the whole, like, charm of him also played into effect of him being so handsome. Like, he's not Zac Efron. Like, no. That's, like, completely blown out of proportion, I think.
Because Zac Efron is
Zac Efron is a pretty boy on steroids.
Zac Efron is like Troy Bolton. He is like that character in High School Musical and Neighbors. Like, he does, like, that's the kind of guy that you think he's playing. So that's the kind of guy that they're putting in this script. That's not what Ted Bundy actually was.
No, he wasn't. And I don't know, like, I was just, like, looking on, and I think it's so funny that they were telling how he's, like, trying to change his, you know, like, look a little bit every time he
That's crazy to me. That's so crazy. So for anyone who doesn't know, one of his victims, he only gets charged with a kidnapping because she gets away.
Yeah.
And then in the lineup, he gets arrested and they bring him in for a lineup and he physically changes his appearance. I'm like, what a dumbass you are. Now all the other people that are there for the lineup don't look like you anymore.
Yeah. But I understand he was I hate to say this. So he was kind of clever in a sense of doing that. If that didn't happen, if there were like people randomly looking like him, like didn't look like him, I think he would have been, in a sense, because your memory is probably the most unreliable thing out there. Like I learned this like in testimonies, like you don't know what's really factual and what's not because your memory and sometimes like what people tell you completely throws you off. So if she was thinking in her head, this guy looked like what Ted Bundy usually looks like, goes into the lineup, and if none of them look like him and if he was posing like a different way, she might not even picked him at all. She would pick someone else.
Well, now he stood out because he looked different.
Exactly.
And
so that would be different.
By the way, they're like, he looked completely different. You see the picture? He just changed his hair part.
Yeah. Changed his hair part.
What?
Like, changed his hair part, like, did something else. I thought it was so... He clearly looked like him, but also at the same time, like, the chameleon effect was so funny when they were talking about it.
If you walk into a lineup and you're expecting to see me like this, and then you see me like this, like, are you going to be like, oh, that's not her? No.
If I never met you, like, I was discussing this with If Beale Street Could Talk with my brother, because they put the main character in a lineup and the woman picked the main character. Obviously, he didn't do it, but he must have looked like the person. And that happens a lot. So I guess that's what he was really banking on. But he shouldn't have done that. If he just looked himself.
Yeah. If he just looked normal, it's way more likely that whatever.
Yeah. But I also want to get on that topic because everyone was like, he's so smart. Like, even the judge was like, you could have been a great lawyer. All this stuff. I was so confused because I looked it up. He had shitty LSAT scores. He wasn't a good law student. He didn't go to class and then just stopped going altogether. But so I think he thought he was the smartest person in the room. And that was like more of his persona. And I'm like, if you were the smartest person in the room, you wouldn't have gotten caught.
Right. Well, yeah. But here's the other part is like when everyone's like, this is such a disservice to humanity that you are a serial killer, not because you killed people, but because it's a waste of talent. Yeah. I think that's because that's what he portrayed to people.
Yes.
Like, I do think he was very good because he's clearly some sort of psychopath.
Oh, yeah.
Or sociopath or something. I don't know.
But
they're really good at, like, portraying an image to society.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, I could, not that I do, but, like, I could be a literal serial killer and you would have no idea if I'm a psychopath because I could very easily just be like, yeah, like, what do you mean? Like, oh, I'm sit at home and I watch Netflix and eat ice cream, which is like true.
Yeah.
But I could very well be putting that on, well, obviously they don't have Twitter back in the day, but like I could very well just be putting that on Twitter and like in this podcast and in my real spare time, I go out and murder people.
Yeah, exactly. You could do that.
Right.
And no one would know. And that's what I always think is so funny when they talk about stuff like that. Like, oh, I didn't know. Like, oh, his neighbor's like, oh, he's such a nice guy. I was like, of course, because that's what they want.
He doesn't want you to think. Here's my other thing about Ted Bundy.
Yeah,
is I don't know why I said it like that.
Ted Bundy.
He's like, I can't believe they caught. Well, you fucking moved from Washington to Colorado, and guess what? You killed people there too.
Yeah, and then you went to Florida and did the same.
And they started in Colorado. Exactly. And then they stopped in Colorado and they started in Florida when you went there. The funniest thing about this entire series, and I guess by series, I really just mean Ted Bundy's life.
Yeah.
Is that he refused to tell them who he was in Florida.
Yeah.
They were just like, who are you? He was like, oh, I'm so-and-so. And the real so-and-so was like, nope, that's not me because I'm me. And he was like, nope, you're right. I'm not him, but I'm not going to tell you who I am.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It's so funny.
He generally, that's what I'm saying. Like, everyone was like, oh, he's such this cunning, like, genius, this evil genius. I'm like, but he wasn't. He really wasn't.
You say that, though, because it reminds me of the show Evil Genius.
Yes.
Where it's the same exact. I actually texted my brother about that this weekend because I was talking to my mom about, she's watching some Netflix show with my dad. Oh, Innocent Man or something she's watching with my dad. And based on Karen Carney's judgment, it's a real snooze fest. But she was saying that my dad likes those crime things, and I just thought that was funny because he never watched Making a Murderer and he never watched Evil Genius, which are the bigger shows of that nature. But I couldn't think of the name Evil Genius, so I was texting my brother and I was just like, I think I literally said, what's the name of the show about the pizza bomber lady? And he wrote back, Evil Genius. I'm actually going to read it because I want like word for word because it was funny. He goes, Evil Genius, about the least competent law enforcement ever. Because, you know, the whole thing in Evil Genius is, oh man, she really outsmarted us, or they all really outsmarted us because they just wouldn't admit to murder. And they talk about how the woman in that is such a beauty and everything. Like, it's insane. And it reminds me so much of this because they really are just, at one point they literally say, unless this killer kills again, we probably won't be able to catch him. Like, it's insane. It's insanity. You have 4 missing dead people. Plus, by the end, I think they say it's about 30 that he kills in total.
Yeah, 30 plus. And that's what they know.
Exactly. Well, that's from what he talked about with either his lawyer or his biographer or something. So I don't think at that point, I don't think he would really lie. But because he also admits to necrophilia at the end, which I'm not surprised about at all. If anyone thought that was like a shocking reveal, we shouldn't talk because that was the least surprising thing of all time.
Yeah, I knew that only because of if I knew that Ted Bundy did that. But what made me so uncomfortable at that part is when he like whispers it. It's like ASMR, and I'm like, he's talking about severed heads.
At the end of it, at the end, he goes, "Did you hear that?"
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, you were whispering it and right into the microphone.
It was such an ASMR move, thinking because he like clicks his tongue and like,
did you hear that?
Yeah, and I like so literally I like cringed so hard, and it was talking about like this poor girl's like severed head. Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, like
I know I don't mean to laugh, but
no, I don't mean to laugh either, but like it made me so uncomfortable that I need to laugh, like that stuff.
But if you know anything about Ted Bundy based just over this series, the idea that he was having sex with these women after he killed them is not shocking at all. Because for some reason, as much as I know he has it in him to murder these women, I just don't think he had it in him to like rape them while they were living.
Well, that's like, I guess that's
I don't know. It just made sense to me that he couldn't fit. I just think he's terrified of women at some point. You know?
He's not terrified of women. He just considers women as objects and possessions.
I don't think so, because then to me, I would think he would have no problem raping them while they're alive.
No, because I mean, I don't know, but I was reading a lot of these articles, and it literally talks about how he has talked about women as possessions. When he was talking about his girlfriend, he was talking about like she has a nice car, good parents, stuff like that. And then talked about his friend's girlfriend, like it was like, oh, like she's like has, you know, good quality, she's a nice like she never said anything about her being a specific like nice person. It was like she has a nice car, like stuff like that, like that's, and he kind of like described this girl as his friend's possession. So that was like the whole thing, like he never, like they said that too, like he did not have any like emotions towards women. He was very like, he considered them as objects. That's probably why they were the targets. He killed them and then they raped them while they were not moving, so they couldn't move at all.
I mean, I guess either makes sense, and you obviously did way more research than I did.
But I was just like so angered. I don't know why. Like, I just like baffled me about this man. And then all of a sudden, like, my friend shared this article on Twitter, and I was like, I had the same exact opinion. So I just kept reading it. But what I thought was funny is the whole thing about when people kept talking about his lost potential. Like, what?
Because that's what he was presenting.
Exactly. And it's just, well, like, even now, like,
no one knows your LSAT scores unless you tell them.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, rehearsing this received idea of Bundy's lost potential, the potential to be the sort of man we would trust to represent in court or in office, to greet us warmly when he comes out over with our sister and her kids for a family dinner. And what made me like cringe is like these people were like, you know, this is the guy you want your sister to marry. Whereas this is the same guy who's also murdering people's sisters.
Right.
So it's, I don't know, like, obviously, like, that's like the thing he portrayed, but like, it's just so crazy, this whole story. And like, people are talking about if Ted Bundy was still on death row right now and he found out that there was like movies and documentaries, like this, I think his head would blow up because of how big it became.
Okay. So the only other thing I do want to say, because I know we are going to talk about this obviously more when the movie comes out,
when the movie
comes out. I don't even want to get into the whole conversation he had with his girlfriend Lynn, who Lily Collins is playing in the movie.
She's based off of like two girls.
Right. Because we're going to get into that once the movie comes out.
And we're like, these feelings are all going to come back.
Exactly. But the one thing that I will say, I really like sneaky ended up respecting his mom.
Yes. Surprising.
Because I don't know. At first I was like, no one wants to be able to admit that their kid is a serial killer. And you have to kind of respect that just anyway, because first of all, Ted Bundy is not an only child.
Yes, but he doesn't know his dad.
Right. That's not what I'm saying though.
Yeah. That was just the whole thing.
I know people are always like, well, you raised this kid. Well, you know what? Like, obviously one of them turned out really psychotic, but if he's like one of four and the other ones aren't serial killers, that's like a winning percentage in my mind. But
he didn't have a bad childhood. They said that.
Right, exactly. So it's something else was there. Obviously there's the whole thing about his parentage. Yeah. But basically what she ends up saying after she says, I don't believe he did it, she testifies basically saying, don't kill him, just put him in jail for the rest of his life. Just don't put him on death row, which no matter what, I think if you're a mother, that's the move.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the best you could do.
Yeah. But aside from that, when she finds out, I don't know, it's just kind of, they say that she has a reaction while she's listening, and then right after, she's like, does anyone want pie? I know that kind of seems crazy, but I just don't, I think if you're a mother, you can't process the fact that your son is a serial killer. But then she's in the news saying, you know, I have beautiful daughters of my own. If he actually did this to these women, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. And I would never wish that. Like, I'm sorry that happened. I would never wish for anyone to do that to your children. But like, I don't know. I think for her to go to the, like, for her to go forward and say that, I don't know. No, I ended up kind of respecting her at the end for it.
No, I agree with you, because even making a murderer, that what's her face? She still doesn't believe he did anything.
Yeah.
Either her like grandnephew,
husband,
whatever the hell thing. So I get it. Like, no one wants to believe anything. I have a lot of respect though for his ex-girlfriend, because she's the one that turned him in.
Yes.
And what's even more
crazy thing, go ahead,
is that multiple other women also turned in their husbands and wives.
What's going on in the 60s?
And you know what? To be fair, that was like the whole like serial killer time in the 70s. That was like the big boom of serial killers. Like Jeffrey Dahmer came out. This was right after Charles Manson and stuff like that. So honestly, respectfully, understandable how women were very uncomfortable with this whole situation. I get it. Like, I get why so many women, but that's crazy though. How so many women, like so many other women turned in there.
They were we got a report, but we also got like 60 others, so it took us a while to look into it.
They said 42,000 people were driving those.
I mean, that's just the kind of car.
Exactly, but that sucks.
I'm sure 42,000 people are driving the same kind of car my mom is, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I get that. And that was like crazy when they were telling us like, no, like multiple women were coming forward.
That was so crazy to me.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, like women, like that was the whole time they're like, hitchhiking became a popular thing for women and stuff like that.
It's the same time that marital rape is still really thriving.
Exactly.
So it's kind of a weird juxtaposition.
Yeah, so the whole like with Gen X and everything, like obviously with all these serial killers, that's why no women like hitchhike. This is why like women in our like society, like we can't do certain things because we will get raped and murdered.
Yes, unfortunately.
But we will discuss more about this, especially now that Netflix has acquired the rights. Only $9 million. I feel like it should have been more, but that I feel like it's Netflix. But
are there any scenes that you feel like need to be in the movie because you watched this documentary? Because I have one.
I think just how he slipped out of jail.
I have two, actually.
How he like lost the like 25 pounds and like literally like slipped out of jail. I think that would be a great scene. Yeah. But they probably definitely do have that.
I see, you're like, I don't think he's that charming. I think he's very funny without intending to be. The one scene I need is that phone call after he is recaptured and he's just like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, no.
I was like, I'm good. How are you? That was so funny.
Yeah. No, I think he was charming in a sense, but I don't think he was
crazy. Clearly a psycho.
Oh, yeah.
He just gets recaptured and he calls someone on the phone and is like, how are you doing? And if I'm getting that phone call, I don't know what, I'm spitting out any kind of beverage, clearly.
Why is the jail calling me?
But it's not even that. Like, I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention at this part, but this caught my attention. I don't know who this guy was. I think he was one of the lawyers or something. But, so it's not the concept of the jail calling that's funny to me. It's that he's like, I'm good. How are you? Like, you just got recaptured. What are you talking about? And then Ted Bundy's like, oh, yeah, Well, now, like, what did you think of that whole thing? He was like, what do you mean, what did I think of it? Like, it's so funny. And then at the very end, when Ted Bundy is like, I don't want them to kill me, I'll just kill myself, and his biographer or whoever says, well, that's murder. And you really probably shouldn't murder anyone else. You've already murdered enough. And Ted Bundy goes, you got me again.
Actually, yeah, I think they should keep it. Yeah,
you really put me in a mental pretzel there, buddy.
No, yeah, he was like to like random people, like he was very charming to the right people. That's what I should say.
I wouldn't say charming. I just think funny.
He's funny, yeah.
Way. The same kind of like I went to my cousin's basketball game yesterday, and they can't understand. She's like little. They don't understand the concept of dribbling and walking at the same time. They just start traveling and all the coaches yell dribble. So they dribble and then pick it up and then start walking again. It's that kind of funny.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing. That's funny.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Like, it's that kind of a thing.
No, yeah. No, I understand that completely. There's been those like funny moments. But yeah, no, that would be funny. And I think they are going to keep those things because I don't think this is like a serial drama. However, they are going to make a big push. Netflix decided that they're going to make a big push for Zac Efron for like award season. They said they're going to start a campaign once this movie comes out for Zac Efron. Yeah. Just like they did with Roma.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay. Completely side note before we start talking about sex ed. Did that Ross Lynch Jeffrey Dahmer movie ever come out? My Friend Dahmer or something?
Okay, I think it did, but I never heard anything of it.
I heard like nothing about it.
After I just heard that he was Jeffrey Dahmer and that was it. But I see all these screen caps. And I'm like, where are you getting this from?
Exactly.
Like, where, like, can I find it online? Like, no one talks about it. Like, did it get any reviews? Like, I want to know these things.
We'll have to look into it.
Yes.
All right, you watch sex ed. Give it to me.
All right, so I watched this TV series. I just happened upon it. I saw like a lot of hype on it on Twitter, and I love it. So I mean, I have a few things. Like, first of all, it was British, so obviously there's a reason why I would like it. Like, I feel like I'm still like in that British thing, like remember like high school year,
Yes.
Olivia was like so British. Like I went to London for my sweet 16, like stuff like that. But it was really interesting because it was like a teen drama that is very relatable to everyone, and in a sense that it was on Netflix because they could just do whatever they want, and it was also British. But it's about this guy named Otis, and they start their year 11, I want to say. Is that like 16 junior year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he lives with his mother in England, set in England, like suburb England, and his mother's a sex therapist. So not just his mother, his dad was too. So so he lived with two sex therapists, and when he was younger, he caught
the Fockers, anybody?
Yeah, literally. He caught his dad having sex with a client. He caught it, and then he told his mom, like, passing, was like, why was daddy doing this to this woman? Like, just like he doesn't understand it because he's like 8.
Right. Okay. He doesn't. Yeah. Okay.
And then he learned that like his father cheated on his mother, and so it definitely has like an impact on him, especially since like this is like TMI, but he can't masturbate. Like he has physically like the whole like season, he's like he physically cannot masturbate. His mother's very invasive with the whole thing. Like obviously she's a sex therapist, so he'll like put tissues on his bed and like magazines to like make her think that he's like a healthy 16-year-old boy. But he's not. But she's like, no, I know. So yes. How crazy is that? So that's like the first scene. And now the mom, like ever since like the cheating happened, you know, she's like a string of affairs. She's this healthy, like middle-aged woman, sex therapist, has a lot of one-night stands, can't really do commitment, but she's very good at her job. Like she is very into it. She has a lot of clients. She wrote a book with her husband, and now the whole thing is for her is like trying to write another book so she could, you know, like get her feelings away because she still can't get over the fact that her husband cheated on her. Rightfully so. Anyway, so Otis starts his year 11 with his best friend, Eric. Eric, by the way, best character ever. And Eric basically tells him, like, over the summer, everyone decided to have sex. Like, there's no one in their grade who hasn't had sex yet, except for Otis. And even, like, Eric is like gay guy. He's, like, one of the 2 openly gay guys in the school. So he's like, yeah, like, everyone's having sex. I'm not really. And then he was like, well, you aren't having sex. He was like, I was like, well, I, like, gave a hand job out to there. So, like, I've at least done something. That's what he's, like, says in the thing. So go about this, and there's another girl who literally looks just like Margot Robbie and just with brown eyes, and she's beautiful, and her name was Maeve, and she's kind of like seen as the slut of the school, so she's kind of like an outcaster, and she's also like a really main character too because she lives in like a trailer park and she doesn't really have family living with her. Her parents are in jail, her brother's like away, and they kind of like, I don't know, she starts seeing the head boy, like, who, like, really likes her and, like, wants to start a relationship with her. So it's, like, a weird thing. Anyway, so Otis, I'm basically, like, trying to tell you all these characters. But anyway, so Otis has to do this project with the school bully who happens to be the headmaster principal's son. And the bully comes over, Adam, and he, like, smokes a lot of weed, doesn't really, like, slack off in school. He comes over to Otis's house, and there's, like, freaking dildos everywhere and stuff like that, and he's like, what the fuck? And so he found out that, you know, I don't know, he smokes a lot of weed and finds out that he can't really have sex. He found out, like, he can't, like, climax when he has sex with his girlfriend. You find that out very quickly. The next day, everyone finds out that Otis has about his mother because Adam finds a video of his mother basically putting a condom on a cucumber, and the whole school finds out, thinks it's so funny. Turns out Adam accidentally took 3 Viagras. So his dick was...
I mean, is this just all the pilot still?
Yes, because it has like a basis of everything.
All right, you need to speed this up.
I know. So basically, this is how it finds out. Maeve and Otis actually like give him a therapy session, stuff like that, and everything goes down. Pun intended. So then Maeve decides we should start a business. We should start like a therapy session. There's everyone having sex in the school. you have all this knowledge because of your parents and stuff like that. You should be able to do this, like, and we'll pay them. Like, they'll pay us. So that's the whole, like, beginning of the series. Then it turns out he starts to have feelings with Maeve and all this other stuff. It's really good drama because it kind of, like, gives you a background on, like, how all these, like, media portrays sex and everything is completely different from, like, the reality. It's, like, more of a reality of sex, and especially with teens, because teens are always having sex. There's nothing you can really stop that. So basically, like, just shows Otis and stuff, like, telling all these things, like, going through all these things. He's looking up LGBT sex and, like, for all these students, and he's, like, really doing his research about these relationships. And you find out, like, he now has a crush on Maeve, and Maeve might like him back. And it's also, like, a bunch of other things too, because one of the popular girls really likes Maeve as a friend, but she can't be friends with her because, you know, the popular girls don't like her. And she also has, like, problems on her own with everything. And same with, like, the popular girls. The popular girls, one of the friends not accidentally, took a picture of one of her friend's nudes and sent it to the whole school. But, like, sent it as, like, an anonymous person. So it's, yeah, which is obviously rough considering the fact that this girl's, like, underage, and this happens all the time. So they deal with stuff like that. And, like, Eric, who's gay, like, on his birthday, they decide to go to the Hedwig and the Angry Inch. They try to go see that. So Otis and him, like, dress up like drag queens, whatever. And Otis couldn't go because of something with Maeve, but he ends up going, and Eric gets assaulted. Yeah, and he has to go back, and he's 16, so he has to, like, also deal with that, and he, like, tries to hide who he is. Adam, basically, the bully, is basically in it, and you find out that him and his parents don't have, like, a good relationship, obviously, because his dad's the headmaster, and he was having issues with sex. But I kind of figured at the first episode that homeboy was gay, and I was right. He turned out to be gay because he starts liking Eric. Well, he didn't, like, start liking Eric. You kind of, like, there was, like, a lot of innuendos throughout the series.
Obviously, I mean, bully who has a trouble climaxing with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
There's some repression going on there.
And I think, okay, I was talking about this by myself. I was going to write it in the thing. I like a lot of, they have all these, like, stupid stereotropes, like, tropes that everyone has, but they do it in, like, a good way. They don't do it in, like, a weird way. So, like, first, the mom, the sex therapist, Jean, she falls in love with her handyman. Yeah.
Oh.
How funny is that? Like, she falls in love with her handyman, like, has a thing, like, obviously that's very, like, porn innuendo. Of course you would fall in love with her handyman. That's obviously a shitty plot line. I'm not good at explaining plot line, but I do agree everyone should watch it. Very good. They just finally announced that they were having a season 2. I'm so excited for it. But the only issue I had with it is that it was, like, more of American school, but it wasn't. And, like, you were confused about that. I had a lot of issues. If you really want more of a better outlook on it, you should read my take on it.
Is it funny, or is it more Degrassi, 13 Reasons Why, teen drama? What's the deal?
It's a dramedy.
Okay.
It's, like, funny. It's, like, British humor too, and it's funny in another sense, and it's also, like, drama. It's very good. It's kind of like, people were like, it's what Riverdale wishes it was. And I was like, you know what? Respect.
All right. So then in terms of is it heavy British humor, or is it just universally? I
think it's universal. That was, like, it was confusing because, like I said, like, they were wearing, like, clothes to class. It wasn't, like, uniforms. It was more of, like,
I mean, I think they probably have some public schools in England.
I guess, yeah. But they said it was, like, weird. They said it was, like, a mixture of American and British. So you would definitely get along. It's not British humor. It was just, like, a mixture of both. I think it's, like, good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good to know. Interesting.
I did, obviously, like, I talked too much about the plot, but I didn't want to talk as much because I already wrote something about it. But definitely check it out. You won't regret it. It's only, like, 8 episodes.
All right. Cool. No doubt. Let's get into some Bachelor talk real quick.
Yes.
I, again, almost wrote something up today, but work got in the way, and I thought of a title, but I'll do that for next week. It'll be fine. Olivia actually watched this episode, which was great. What did you think?
Okay, so I have to talk about Hannah B for a quick second.
All right, gimme.
So when you kept talking about Hannah B and you said she was from Alabama, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I finally saw her. I was like, I know this bitch.
Shut up.
Yeah, so she was an Alpha Chi, and I remember when she ran for Miss West Alabama because another girl in my sorority also ran for West Alabama. So we had to like support both of them for the Greek life community.
Right.
And the girl in my sorority won most photogenic, and then Hannah B won Miss West Alabama. But I remember like seeing her and everything, and I was like, oh, she's not like, I never expected her to be like a pageant queen the way she is, because the girl that was in my sorority was drop dead gorgeous. Like completely.
See, I think Hannah B is very pretty.
She is extremely pretty. I was shocked though, because like this girl was like drop dead. Well, I'm telling you, she was like,
okay.
She was like,
yeah, I don't know. I think Hannah looks like a pageant girl. It's just then she opens her mouth sometimes and calls herself Hannah Beast, and you're like, what is going on?
So yeah, I had to talk about that. My funny thing is I also follow one of this like Alabama famous Twitters. He talks a lot about Alabama, but he live tweets The Bachelor, and he's in love with Hannah B. So he talks about what?
Is it this stupid Will Elliott account that you always? Yeah. Okay. It's always on my timeline because of you.
Yeah. Because he posts a lot about Alabama football, so I always like it. But yeah, he is in love with her, and I think it's so funny. He was like, obviously Colton's not going to appreciate you sniffing the elephant poo, because that is a staple in Alabama. Roll Tide. It's just so funny. I couldn't stop laughing.
Okay, but you get what I was saying earlier in the season, right? When I was like, being from Alabama isn't a personality trait.
No, it's not.
She makes it as if that's her entire personality.
Yeah, but it's not though. Like I know so many people from that area too, and like I know a lot of her friends, so that's how I knew who she was. But I thought it was so funny.
Hannah B specifically, I think, is one of those people that really it highlights how much editing and production factors into what we think about these girls. Because in the beginning, I thought Hannah B was a psychopath. And then the more things went with Kaylin, I was like, Hannah B is a psychopath. Mm-hmm. But now she's doing all the same kind of stuff, but I think it's kind of likable.
Yeah, so they obviously, because she's not the center of drama, that's
exactly. So now it's kind of like,
I was kind of shocked that she got the rose, though. I feel like
it's because she said she was falling in love with him. That's 100% why.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into it. We start with Heather. Yes. Heather is the girl, obviously. You saw the episode, who's never been kissed.
But she had a boyfriend
for 8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. She tells this whole story about how Colton basically throws her a what the fuck.
Yeah.
How old are you? You've never had a kiss. Why?
Yeah.
That's crazy. But also, even in terms of like late bloomers, that's crazy. She says that she dated casually in high school. She kind of dated in college. I get that. But at the same time, you dated casually in college and never just drunkenly kissed someone at a frat party? Yeah. That's crazy.
Made out with anyone? That's like every girl's life in college. Every girl has made out with a guy at a bar. Multiple guys at a bar. It happens. Yeah. So how does she not have one of those times?
I don't know. Then she tells the story about how she dated a guy for 8 months and never kissed him. And Colton basically, she just kind of said that. She told the story, and everyone watching was just thinking, oh, we're just going to brush over the fact that you dated someone for 8 months and never kissed him. Colton was not brushing over it. Colton straight up said, wait, so you dated for 8 months and you never kissed? She just explains it away by saying, oh, we had a really open communication about it. I think you just had a really good friend, Heather.
Yeah, I think so too.
Didn't have a boyfriend for 8 months.
How old was she? Months? 15 or 17? I feel like if she was like really, really like...
This was post-college.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was post-college.
She's like 22, 23 when this is happening. That's almost a full, like, human life. 8 months.
It is.
I know people who were in the womb for less. That's crazy.
That's true. I didn't even realize it was like post-college. I thought it was like in high school.
Yeah,
like, oh, that's cute.
She says, I dated casually in high school. I kind of dated casually in college. Then I met this guy. He was like my perfect guy and all my friends. So she implies by that order that she tells the story that it was post-college. I don't know if she ever actually says how old she was.
Yeah.
Her and Colton finally kissed. It
took a little too long, I felt. I felt he should have kissed her right when the fireworks hit, and it was just really awkward. I was like, if I was her, I would lean in.
I kind of supported Colton in his decision. Oh, yeah. I would have been fine if he didn't kiss her at all.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of a big step. And I know Colton, I think Colton in his head is like, you are not going to be making it to the hometown visits or home visits or whatever they call it. So it is kind of like, am I going to be your first kiss and then send you home in a couple weeks? I don't know. That, to me, I would have been fine if he didn't do it.
Yeah. Elise, though.
We got to talk about Elise. So Elise
I knew she was your top two, her and Cassie, right? Is that what you were?
Yeah. I really I think I had her and Cassie, or I had her and Hannah G to be like my top two. Elise was my girl. They had the best one-on-one, but I think she was getting caught up on the fact that she wasn't getting another one-on-one. To me, I feel like that's not a thing. You don't repeat the one-on-ones because this early.
Yeah, I thought that was nuts. And and I was like reading your tweets too along with it. Like, I don't think she knew what the whole premise of the show was.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think everyone basically is in the mindset after watching the episode that she just thought she was going to be able to handle it, and then she wasn't.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of a mature breakup.
It was so mature.
And
I was like, what the hell is this? That. Yeah.
Because at one point she said, I just wish, and there was a long pause, and then she says, you would say, yeah, I feel it too. We could just be really good friends. But with that long pause, I thought she was going to say, I just wish you would say, send all these other girls home and we'll just be together.
Yeah.
Which to me sounds more like what the Bachelor breakup is going to sound like. Not, I'm breaking up with you no matter what you say right now, and then I'm going home.
And then she immediately regretted it. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Colton's hot, though. Like, this episode, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he was very likable this episode, and I really haven't liked him a ton. I didn't love, though, his reaction after Elise left. I'm just like, you're a little bitch. You just are walking in with this to this season being like, I get to break up with all these girls and then find my wife. One of them breaks up with you and you have an identity crisis. Come on, Colton, get it together. So, I don't know. Then Cassie has her one-on-one. After the group date. The group date was like forgettable. It was Survivor. The most memorable part of it is they break up into teams and they have to like survive in the wilderness for like an hour in daylight. And the Hannahs and Demi just go to a restaurant instead of foraging for food, which I respect the hell out of.
I agree with you on the whole Demi situation. I don't think she's in. I think I love her too, but you can 100% know she's not like in love with Colton. I think she just wants to win.
I don't think she wants to win. I think she wants to be the Bachelorette or go to Bachelor in Paradise. She doesn't want to win.
Yeah, I can see her as a Bachelor. I hope she becomes like the Bachelorette or something like that.
I don't think like in Paradise. Will. I think it's gonna be Kaylin.
Yes.
I don't think Kaylin is gonna. I don't think she's gonna go far enough to really be like a real contender.
My friend just told me that she knows who ends up winning. I was like, what? How do you know? But for some reason, she always knows.
Because of Reality Steve.
Who's Reality Steve?
So it's this like account. Basically, people just send Reality Steve tips and pictures, and based on like the timeline and how many people are in the group date pictures and that kind of stuff, he's able to figure out all the spoilers because the entire season was over before the premiere.
Yeah, it filmed in September.
Right. So Reality Steve, I haven't looked at it at all, but he knows everything and he posts about it. But so basically every season you could know before the premiere who wins. But I don't know. Clearly I haven't looked because I thought Elise was going to make it to the top two and she's gone. So
yeah,
whatever. But I think Caitlin's going to be the next Bachelorette rather, but whatever. Cassie has her one-on-one. I'm pretty sure they boned. They cut away while Cassie and Colton were lying in bed making out. They were making out basically this entire date. He tells her that he's crazy about her. I think they had sex.
Me
or
too.
At least did something.
What else are you gonna do in that whole island? The island was plain. It was
it literally was a castaway island.
Yeah. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, but whatever. And then there's some drama. It's the stupidest drama of all time. It's like Anika and Nicole.
No, I didn't even know.
Anika, I'm like falling over my tongue right now. Anika needed some drama because she's not really the center of attention with like her gimmicks anymore. Yeah. But here's my thing. So everyone on Twitter being like, Anika's crazy because she calls her emotionally unstable, and then when she's accused of calling her emotionally unstable, she denies it, that kind of stuff. To me, I don't know if anyone caught this, but Nicole calls her a bully, and then when Anika's like, please tell me how I'm a bully, she says, well, you've never asked me why I'm crying. That's not bullying, Nicole. You're contributing to the pussification of America, Nicole.
Yeah, pussification of America. I thought she was crazy because do they always involve Colton in drama that never happened?
Well, Kaylin and Hannah did. Kaylin and Hannah did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then last week, Demi did with Courtney.
I think that's like such a bitch move.
Bullshit.
Like, why don't you just like call them out?
Dragged into quite a bit of drama this season.
I feel like he feels like a babysitter. I feel like this is like his children.
Yeah.
Like when he walked away,
I tweeted that.
I was like my parents.
He basically, you can see him internally huffing when Nicole says, "I just have to tell you, she's bullying me." To me, I don't know what's been going on. Whatever. To me, I don't think Elise is a shit stirrer. That is my one saving grace for Anika. And then when Nicole says you bully me because you've never asked me why I'm crying. Bitch, I wouldn't have asked you why you're crying either. I would have just left you to cry. That's not bullying.
But I think she's a shit stirrer because no, it's not like Nicole told her that. It's what she heard from someone else.
I'm not commenting on Yika. I'm commenting on Elise when I say that she's not a shit stirrer.
Which one's Elise?
The one who left.
Okay. Oh, Elise. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think she was like shit stirring. She might have just like interpreted it wrong, and that's why she probably didn't involve Colton. But that whole thing on here, like that was none of your business. You weren't even in that conversation.
Yeah, no, I know, but I just don't. Removing that altogether, I don't think Anika should have talked to Colton about it. I agree with that, but I don't think someone not asking you why you're crying should
be considered bullying. No,
Anika clearly has a strong personality. She's shown that since the pilot. So I get sometimes people, when they're just not included in friend groups or something, and then the people in it have strong personalities, it's really easy to just say, oh, you're bullying me. No, they're not. They're just not being your friend. Yeah, that's completely different. So whatever. That really bothered me. And then the other thing that really bothered me was, I believe Taisha did the paper lantern with Colton, and everyone, all the women in the house were like, I've always wanted to do that. Everyone on Twitter was like, I've always wanted, just go fucking buy one and do it. What are you talking about? It's not a hot air balloon. Yeah. It's a paper lantern. You just write it out and put it in the air. Like, they did it at the Super Bowl halftime show. What are you talking about? Just go do
it. Taisha, did she have a one-on-one with Colton yet?
Yes. Last week.
Okay. So that makes a lot more sense.
They went skydiving. It was really good. I liked her a lot.
Yeah, I like her too. I just like was so confused during the whole thing. I did like recap a lot of it before I started watching this episode. Yeah. But yes. I
don't know. I'm pissed that we didn't get a rose ceremony last night. Because let me tell you, I had Anika and Nicole going home in my work pool. And I have no points for this week because of that. And Anika and Nicole are going home next week. There's not a shot in hell they're not. So whatever. But we'll see what happens. I think we're gonna start wrapping up though, right?
Oh yeah, we are. I was just that next week's episode when I saw Cassie crying, I was like, oh shit.
Dude, Cassie has nothing to worry about. Cassie has been very Hannah G has been very emotional. I don't know. They look too much alike.
Really? Because every time Hannah G, I feel like she was so irrelevant this episode, so I didn't understand her.
Oh, Hannah G and him are like solid. 1 week Hannah G she got 0 dates, like not a one-on-one, not a group date. And she went up to him during the cocktail party and was like, what the fuck? And he was like, oh, I didn't feel like we needed it because like we had that strong of a connection. I think they're on solid ground. I think Hannah G is going to go far. Yeah. Hannah G and Cassie are completely interchangeable to me, though. When you look at them, they're just pretty blonde girls. And they also remind me of someone else we both know. But tell
me after.
Just physically. Yeah. So whatever. Let's wrap up here. I don't know what we're gonna do next week, but we're gonna do something next week. Probably have another sitcom situation next week because we haven't done that in a little while, and we've had several episodes.
Modern Family just announced that 11th season is their final season, so we have a lot to talk about.
Gina has officially left Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes,
the Goldbergs have really heated up without Lainey.
Yeah, schooled.
So we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. Yeah. We'll definitely do a sitcom situation next week. I don't know what else we're going to do, but we will also have our Riverdale rundown coming out on Friday.
Yes.
I am going to, this will come out on Wednesday. Riverdale also comes out on Wednesday. I am going to try my very best to actually watch Riverdale live. So I will also be live tweeting Riverdale this week if I can do it. I want to. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
All right. Bye.